Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at something that's been fairly well requested in the comment section of some of my more recent videos because, as you may have noticed, I have been doing a lot of builds recently that involve randomizers. Now, randomizers are incredibly useful in Redstone and I use them fairly often, so what I thought I'd do is do a little video summarising some of my favourite designs. In front of us we have got three, all of which have their pros and their cons, and I'm going to run you through them, so let's take a closer look at what I've got for you. This first design we're going to be taking a look at today has been around for donkey's years. Or should I say chicken years, because this is the chicken randomizer. As you can see here, we have got this little fella inside a containment chamber walking around standing on pressure plates, and that is giving us our random redstone output. Now this design is absolutely brilliant because it is incredibly simple in terms of redstone, and also it is very versatile. It can be used for a fairly large number of applications, this one being one of them. As you can see, we have got ourselves three outputs, and at least one of them is always going to be on, depending on where the chicken is standing. Another example of how this could be used is we have got a chamber that contains three blocks. Only one of them has got a pressure plate on top of it, which means that 2/3 of the time, this lamp should be off. There are plenty of different ways that you could use this idea, and you might have to play around with it yourself, depending on what you want it for. This next design was originally featured in a video by Hi Folks, I'm Adam that he uploaded around about a year ago, and if you haven't seen that already, I would highly suggest checking it out. A link to that will be down in the description. But as you can see in front of us, we have got ourselves a very simple redstone circuit with a dropper facing up into a hopper. Now this is a 2-bit randomizer design, which means that if we hit this button, we either get an on or an off, and that all depends on what item travels up from the dropper into the hopper. As you can see here, we have got ourselves a non-stackable item and a stackable item. Now, for those of you who don't know, if a stackable item travels up into the hopper, it will only give a 1 redstone signal strength. However, if a non-stackable item travels up, it will give a stronger signal strength. And that is because of the amount of space that it takes up in the hopper. So if we place in this non-stackable item, you can see that it takes up 1/5 of all of the spaces inside the hopper, and that means that we get ourselves a strong signal strength, and that will turn on this lamp. However, if we place in the stackable item, that only takes about 1/300th of the space in the hopper, which means you only get a signal strength of 1, which isn't enough to reach the lamp, and that means we don't get ourselves an output. If we power the block next to the dropper, one of the items will travel up into the hopper, and that will tell us whether or not we get an output. So as you can see here, we hit the button, and that time the non-stackable item went up into the hopper, and that turned the lamp on. But if we hit it a couple more times, you'll see that time the stackable item went up, and that means that the lamp didn't turn on. Now currently it is a 50-50 chance of us getting an output, but if we did want to adjust the chances a little bit, then all we have to do is fill in a few more of the slots inside the dropper, and as you can see now, we have got a 5 in 6 chance of getting an output. So if we hit this button here, generally speaking, we should get an output from this system. One thing that I will say is that if you wanted to make an output a little bit less likely, then you would just need to fill in more slots in the dropper, so now we have got a 1 in 6 chance of getting an output, making it pretty unlikely. This final design is definitely the most complicated of the bunch. It uses a lot more redstone and far more circuitry to do what it does, but it does have a lot more functionality, and for that reason I thought I would show it to you. So if we head over here and hit this button, we will get ourselves a set of 1 out of 5 random outputs. Now these outputs can be expanded, you can get more than 5, but for this demonstration I just thought I'd stick to that. But anyway, if we hit this button here, we should see that we get ourselves a different output, and then we hit it again, we get another one, hit it again, and we get another one, and you get the idea. This is how it all works. So the way that this thing does what it does is we've got ourselves a dropper over here that is filled up with 5 different items. Now, when we hit this button, one of those items is spat out into the water stream, and it travels along like this. Underneath this water, we have got ourselves an item sorting system. So, for example, if iron is spat out by the dropper and into the water stream, then it will travel along and be picked up by this hopper right here, which contains only iron. The iron will then pass on through, going past the comparator, which will give us a redstone output turning on this lamp, but then the iron will travel off into this hopper stream, go along like this, and be put back into the dropper so that we don't run out of items, which is pretty useful. So you want to get things started with an 8x9 area. This is going to take up a lot of space, so I would suggest making room for it. But anyway, you want to head over to this corner, go 3 blocks from this edge and 1 block from this side, and go 2 blocks up like that, 2 droppers facing upwards, and then a dropper facing across like this. Then you want to grab yourself some ice or compressed ice and run it right the way across up to the end, just leaving 1 block of space. Then heading back over here, you just want to place down a double chest. That is going to make sure that all of your items go right along this side. Next to that double chest, you then want to grab your half slabs and place them running along like this. And then you want to grab yourself some glass or blocks that is going to be going along here to stop all of the water running into your redstone, because that is never a particularly good thing. So chuck all of that in there, and then you will make room for your water, but we're not going to place that in just yet because we have got plenty of redstone to do. Next up, head straight over to your double chest, go a couple blocks out like this, and then a block down here, and run 2 hoppers into both of those blocks. Then you can remove them there, so you should end up with something that looks a little bit like this. Now, one thing that I do just want to say is that all of these blocks do in fact need to be compressed ice. They cannot be ice, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, so I apologize for anyone that started building it with that. But anyway, remove this block here, and you want to go a few blocks down like this, place a comparator running straight out from that compressed ice, and then you want to go a block along like this, a block down just like that, with redstone dust on top of both of those. Then you want to place a block here, repeater running straight into a block with a redstone torch on the side, and then a block on top of that redstone torch. Then you can replace that block, and now you have to repeat that entire process all the way up to the end of your compressed ice. So you should now have something that looks a little bit like this. So if you head over to these hoppers here, which should all be facing in this direction, you want to go over to this bottom dropper and place hoppers running all the way across. Now this is going to be quite a long hopper line, so make sure that you've got enough iron, and that will run all the way across down into that bottom dropper at the bottom. Now we need to set this up so that we can place all of the items back up into this top dropper. So what we need to do is grab a comparator, run it out of that block, then you want to place a block up like this, redstone dust right here, block here, and then a repeater down at the bottom facing in this direction, redstone dust on the side there. That will go into the comparator, put the comparator into subtract mode, then place redstone dust here, a block here, and then a block on this side, and that will set us up. Now what I've got to do is configure the item sorter so that it can match up with those 5 different items. So these items here need to be the same as the ones in our item sorter. So first things first, I'm going to grab these and go right the way along and then place those in like that. What you need to do is you need to fill up all of the slots on the inside of the hopper. You cannot leave any slots free, because that means that this whole design won't work and you're going to have yourself some problems. So I've filled up all of those slots there, and then I'm going to fill up all of the slots once again in this hopper, and all of the slots once again in this hopper, all of the slots in this hopper here, and then all of the slots in this hopper here. And that means that we have got specific items can only go into those hoppers. So only nether stars can travel through this hopper, only diamonds can travel through this hopper, only iron, etc, etc. You get the idea. So when we hit this button here, you should see that we will get ourselves a specific redstone signal strength traveling through this redstone. You didn't see it particularly well, and that's because it wasn't very clear. It is much clearer with redstone lamps. I seem to be really struggling at explaining this, which I do apologise for, but what I'm trying to say is any of the items that come out of this dropper need to go into a specific hopper. So any of the items that come out of here will only be able to go into one of these specific hoppers, which means that we will get a specific output for every item that is dropped out. So as you can see, item comes out and then we get a lamp turning on. That is how it all works. If you still don't understand it, then there is a world download down in the description. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.